Shocking new details in a Utah triple murder case as investigators say the suspect made disturbing admissions about why he carried out the killings. What investigators say he told them. Utah lawmakers in for a long night as we enter the last day of the legislative session. What bills are still on the docket? And more than 160 years, the state's oldest family-run business is getting ready to close its doors. The cherished pianos are hoping to give away and the lasting impact Dane's music leaves behind.
Live and streaming, this is KSL News Now.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us. It is Friday. We are celebrating that. I'm Lori Pritchard. Brian Carlson is watching our traffic for us. Hopefully people are celebrating that we have some smooth sailing.
Yeah, I suppose you're sliding into the weekend one way or another, right?
All right, okay. Speaking of sliding, because we do have some slushy conditions.
Yep, yeah. We've got some snow coming down. And folks, a lot of wet roads. In some areas we're seeing some accumulation, but most of the main freeways at the lower elevations, you should be just seeing wet roads. But here's a look at the KSL Live camera over the Salt Lake Valley. We're looking west. There's the base of the Ochre Mountains, and of course, low cloud cover and snow showers have been the theme this morning. You'll notice flow out of the north bringing in these snow showers. Heavy snow in the Ochres and even the portions of the central Wasatch and Cottonwoods. Now, radar is not active, or it doesn't look like it in Utah Valley, but we're actually seeing some of these snow showers push into the Utah Valley area. So heads up there. Here's a look at the forecast. I think through about 9 a.m. we could see these light snow showers. Then it tapers off. Afternoon looks cloudy with highs in the low to mid 40s.
Feel good. Thank you much out there, Matt. Okay, so take a look at your morning drive. You're looking live in Sandy, I-15, roughly about 100th south. No one says that, but it's 100, you're in that south end of the Salt Lake Valley here this morning. Now, you look at how wet the roads are here this morning. Now, I'll show you what a difference a couple blocks can make. So you go right up to Wasatch Boulevard, same roughly area, 98 south, and you got all those long line of cars of all those skiers headed up to the ski resorts this morning. And you see the snow on the ground there today. You'll need traction, four-wheel drive, chains to get up the canes this morning for either way. Beware, roads are slick, but it will vary depending on where you're going. Lori?
All right, Brian, thanks for that update this morning. And new information this morning in the tragic murders we first told you about yesterday morning in Wayne County. Investigators are now identifying the three women who were killed. They are 86-year-old Margaret Oldroyd, who lived in Lyman, 65-year-old Linda Dewey, and 34-year-old Natalie Graves. Oldroyd was found at her home in Lyman. Dewey and Graves, who were related, were found near a trailhead near Teasdale. Police say the man who killed them was a stranger, then found and arrested in Colorado. Ivan Miller of Blakesburg, Iowa, has been charged with 3 counts of aggravated murder. In those charging documents, prosecutors say Miller made some stunning admissions about the crimes and why he committed them. Investigators say Miller arrived in Wayne County on February 28th and hit an elk with his truck. He sold that truck and stayed in a nearby hotel before making his way to a shed in Lyman. Now, he told police he snuck into the home while the homeowner, Oldroyd, was gone before killing her and stealing her car. Miller told police he didn't like that car, so he stopped at the trailhead near Teasdale, killed Dewey and Graves, and stole their car. When asked why he killed all 3 of them, Miller allegedly said he needed money to get home to Iowa. We continue tracking those developments in Wayne County this morning with news specialist Garna Mejia, who's been gathering community reaction. And Garna, I can only imagine how these residents are mourning these innocent lives lost. This is absolutely senseless violence.
Yeah, Lori, this act just completely unfathomable, the pain and grief that the communities here are experiencing. We spoke with Lyman Mayor Burke Torgerson last night. He was so kind to let us into his home and talk about the devastating impact that his communities are facing. And he says that Lyman, for example, they only have about 300 residents. And one of the victims, 86-year-old Margaret Oldroyd, she was like the town grandmother. Everybody knew her. Everyone felt loved by by her. And she was such a big part of the community here. We've been hearing how she went to church with people and served them. And she was just that quiet helper that was just always the first one to volunteer. Oldroyd also was a relative of Mayor Torgelson's, married to his first cousin. He says she watched him grow up and raise his family. The violent killing spree, he says, has deeply rocked this community.
This has been a real gut punch for us. We're not used to this kind of thing, and if there was a person that was near sainthood on earth, it would be her.
Yeah, that was Mayor Torgerson talking about Margaret. Now, he wanted to also take a moment to express his grief and condolences to the families of the other two victims. He said even though he didn't know them personally, he knew of them and just feels for their loss and what they're experiencing right now. You guys, I'm going to bring it back because I want to walk over here and show you one of the things that Mayor Torgerson was saying is that the communities here, they're close-knit. Everyone is welcome into each other's homes. Many people even leave their keys in their car. That's just how things are out here. You come together, you help each other out, and you trust each other. And in difficult times, they want to come together. Several volunteers came together yesterday, and they said, you know, what can you do in a situation like this? They started putting pink ribbons all up and down the road across, you know, these little, 4 or 5 little towns that are out here. You will just drive up and down the road and you will see those pink ribbons. And though they won't, you know, bring any of the lives back, they want to just express that small gesture to let the victims' families know that they are not alone in their grief. Lori?
I can't imagine what those families are feeling this morning. Garna, we heard the press conference yesterday from Cameron Roden of the Utah Highway Patrol, and he talked a little bit about the suspect. And he was asked the question, did he have a prior history? He didn't know the answer to that at the time. Do we have any more information about this Ivan Miller? Did he have a criminal background to give any kind of indication of this kind of violence that he unleashed against these 3 women?
You know, Lori, just as you said, Lieutenant Roden didn't have those details with him yesterday, but as we've started digging into this case, we've discovered that indeed this man, this 22-year-old, has a criminal background, and he had recently been in jail in Iowa for different kinds of charges. If I remember correctly, they were burglary related. We're still trying to understand what happened here, to the degree that it happened. The violence that was expressed in these murders is just so unthinkable. That aspect, how he jumped from something to that to what happened here, is something that everyone is still trying to make sense of and understand the motives here. By all accounts, he had no connections to this area. He was simply passing through town, and this is where his truck broke down.
So his truck broke down, as we understand it. He had hit an elk, and he needed a car. So kind of walk us through what police have released in terms of why he may have done this.
And I'm going to actually walk with Nathan back this way, you guys, just to kind of help you guys with the wind, because I hope you can hear me okay. But one of the things that they're trying to understand is that timeline. He got into town probably around February 28th, February 27th. Truck breaks down. He ends up selling his truck to a local tow truck company, stays at a local little motel, and then at some point between then and March 4th, he ends up at Margaret's house. How he got there, we're not sure. There's speculation that maybe he just walked over, and that would have been the first house that he would have bumped into had he just been walking down the road. Enters, gets into the home, kills her, takes her car, and decides because he doesn't like her car that he's gonna drive to another part of town, look for another car, and that's where he ends up at the hiking trail where he kills the other 2 victims.
And did investigators give any sort of indication? I mean, it's one thing to steal a car, but it's quite another to commit murder. Did they talk to Miller about why he would have escalated the situation so much instead of just stealing the cars?
Yeah, from those charging documents, we have that record that he, confessed and said that he needed the money. and he needed their cars. He was, I guess, trying to make his way back to Iowa. So that's kind of the best bit, glimpse into what his motive may have been. And I have to tell you this, Lori. Mayor Torgerson last night was saying, he's like, knowing Margaret and how kind and selfless and generous she was, if he would have just walked up to her and said, I want your car and money, she would have given it to him. Things did not need to escalate. He used the word unnecessary. What would drive someone, this 22-year-old, to commit something so vicious and so unnecessary?
I want to end this report again with a focus on those three women. Again, as you said, Margaret Oldroyd, kind, loving, a grandma to that community, and our sincere condolences go to those families. Garna Mejia, who's been live for us for the last 24 hours in Wayne County, thank you so much for that update this morning. And the Utah House of Representatives holding a moment of silence on Thursday, honoring the three women who were killed. Representative Tyler Clancy called their deaths a tragedy.
But I guarantee you that every single one of those women that was murdered last night had a life, had a story, had a family, had things that they loved, people that they loved, and people who loved them.
And KSL has been covering the story since it broke Wednesday night. We will continue to do so. Make sure to stay with us as we track the very latest developments. And now to the state legislature, the debate over nicotine tax increase brought some personal experience to the Senate floor. One lawmaker shared how tobacco addiction has affected someone in her own family. KSL News specialist Tyrese Boone continues our coverage live this morning from the Capitol. Tyrese.
Good morning, Lori. So during the discussion on the bill, a senator explained why this issue hit so close to home for her. And lawmakers also say raising these prices could also hinder the younger generation from getting hooked onto nicotine in the first place. So the proposed bill would put a tax on cigarettes and nicotine alternatives such as pouches. And supporters say limiting access and raising the cost of these items could help prevent long-term addiction.
I have a sibling who started smoking when they were in middle school, and if it was more expensive and harder for them to access, maybe they wouldn't have been smoking for 20 years by now.
Now, lawmakers say stories like that help illustrate the lasting impact nicotine use can have. And if the proposed clears its final vote, it will move on to the governor for consideration. Now, lawmakers are scheduled to meet here at the Capitol. And as you can see, some cars are pulling into the parking lot right now for that session. And possibly that session will last until midnight tonight. Reporting live from the Capitol, Tyrese Boone, KSL 5 News. Back to you, Lori.
All right, Tyrese, thank you for that update. It's going to be a long day for those legislators. Meanwhile, this morning, Utah families sharing their story of escape after missile attacks started in Tel Aviv on Saturday. The Ivins family arrived at the airport with their tour group, and that's when those sirens began.
The alerts on the phone sound like a missile dropping. It's like, meow, poof, meow, poof. So all of us are getting these alerts, several per minute, times 33 people, and it felt like war was real.
Yeah, the family says they hunkered down in a shelter before boarding a bus to Egypt. It took them 3 hours to finally cross the border. Everyone in the tour group managed to get on a flight to Italy and then finally a flight home.
So when we finally touched ground in Salt Lake, it was just surprisingly emotional.
The family says their thoughts are now with everyone still waiting to get out. In other headlines this morning, state health leaders are urging caution as measles cases continue to rise. The Utah Department of Health and Human Services says many recent exposures have been linked to a large multi-county wrestling tournament that happened in late January. Nearly 360 people have caught this virus since the outbreak began in June. DHHS says if you've not received the vaccine, you should stay home after any signs of an illness.
Don't expose other people. This is a highly contagious virus, and we don't want to spread it around.
Symptoms typically show up as cold-like, and then the characteristic rash appears later on. They say most people in Utah are protected against the virus, but warn it is a serious outbreak for those without the vaccine. All right, we want to bring in Matt Johnson right now. I want to go back to Tyrese Boone because you saw him at the state capitol and you can see the snowflakes. So we are seeing some snow across the valley.
Yeah, seeing some snow this morning. And, the snow totals have really racked up in the mountaintops. Wanted to start with the top of the list. That's Alta, 22 inches at the top of the Cottonwood Canyons. Snowbird, Brighton, Solitude, anywhere from 13 to 21. Now, Park City, measuring at 8,500 feet, has 11 inches. Down at the base, 2 to 3 inches. Cherry Peak, 10, 9 for Beaver Mountain. The list continues. I've got Powder Mountain with 8 inches, 7 for Snow Basin. Nordic Valley, how about that? Picking up some snow, 6 inches. I've got Eagle Point and Bryan Head at 5 and 2 to 3 for Sundance and Deer Valley. Valley locations, it's been a mix of rain and snow. A lot of it's melted, and so the water totals anywhere from 1/4 to 1/2 inch Salt Lake City northward. Now you look at Saratoga Springs and most of Utah County, a couple of hundredths to 1/10 of an inch so far. I've got low pressure in western Colorado. It's going to be sneaking on out of here. And that means that the snow showers we're seeing this morning will quickly taper off. By afternoon, we've got partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies in the valleys, but snow showers holding on in the mountaintops and in eastern Utah. Saturday and Sunday look good. This is Saturday afternoon, mostly clear. Sunday, also mostly clear. A couple of high clouds and maybe a snow shower in the Wind River Mountains of western Wyoming. So central Utah, you do have a chance, some of you, to see some snow showers this morning and potentially into the afternoon. But all in all, this thing's wrapping up. Temperatures topping in the 30s for Monticello, 50s for Moab. They've had some snow showers in the area. 35 in Star Valley, the same for Evanston. Cold up there on I-80. You get into the Wasatch Front. Yes, a morning snow shower, but by afternoon, mostly cloudy skies and dry. St. George, you've got 58 to 66 to 72. Now working into next week, upper 70s, pushing 80 by Thursday. Wasatch Front, 44 to 48. We got 58 by Sunday. And then it's more westerly flow that is just going to keep us mild as can be. That's been the theme this winter, and pretty easy forecast next week.
Hey, looking forward to that. Thank you much there, Matt. If you just headed out the door, here's how it's looking this morning in West Jordan. Now, I show you this of Mountain View Corridor, not clearly because of the traffic this morning. It's really light. But you can see right there, they've got snow on the ground. They've got some slightly wet roads out there today. So not really slowing people down. Depending on where you are in the valley, it could look a lot like this, or it could look like snow-covered roads as you head up towards the benches and through the canyons. So you look at the road map, our weather overlay shows you've got some of those snowy conditions the higher you go. And that's the case up in Park City this morning. You've got this little neck right here. That's Kimball Junction. I'll show you what Kimball Junction looks like if we just kind of click over here for you. This is the camera angle. You see snow out there collecting on the road this morning. There was some slowdowns. There's no good angle here, but you did see traffic slowing down underneath the underpass. But this will give you a sense for if you head up to the ski resorts this morning, this is what you can expect the higher you go. Lori?
All right, good news. Snow is falling. Well, founded by a pioneer family back in 1862, Utah's oldest family-run business is finally finding their musical rest. Dane's Music Company, a sixth-generation chapter in American piano history, will close its doors later this season. News specialist Brittany Tate has more on this lyrical heartbeat of Salt Lake City.
At 6935 South on State Street, there is a refuge from the noise of the world. Piano melodies fill the space of Dane's Music.
From generation to generation.
Once a log cabin downtown storefront in 1862. 240 glorious Steinways in a showroom.
There's a huge sense of accomplishment.
For more than a century and a half, Dane's Music has given a start to those playing the keys for the first time.
Have them learn to love music, and I think that would be our legacy and that would be our goal.
And those global artists passing through.
One of the just really inspirational jazz artists, Billy Taylor.
Susan Danes lost her husband Skip 2 years ago. He was 85 and still working. And it all started with a song that carried the early saints across the plains.
Around the campfire at night, Brigham Young met him, and he told him at 11 years old that he was going to be the tabernacle organist.
Joseph J. Danes played this exact organ and later became the youngest tabernacle organist at age 15.
He was on the bench for 32 years.
History that is rich in tradition. And though the music store will close after 164 years, the song of connection plays in thousands of touched
A beautiful story there by Brittany Tate. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints making a big donation in honor of America's 250th birthday celebration. It was 20,000 pounds of food for the Switchpoint Food Pantry in St. George. Switchpoint employees say that's about 15,000 meals, and it's the largest donation they've ever received. For the church, it's one of its first pantry deliveries planned for 250 locations across the country.
People give $5 gifts, $10 gifts when they're donating to the humanitarian efforts of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This is what it looks like locally in our communities.
Switchpoint says the donation is enough to keep shelves stocked for a little bit as the need for food continues to grow. The Salt Lake City Police Department celebrating 175 years of service. Founded back in 1851, the department is the third oldest in the country. An open house on Thursday at the Capitol building reflected on that past while also looking ahead to the future.
We're always looking ahead. We've got the Olympics coming. We've got a lot we need to be prepared for, and making sure we have the appropriate staff and the appropriate training and the appropriate equipment is very important.
The Salt Lake City Police Foundation says there are plans for a future training facility as well as a real-time crime center. All right, let's get back to Matt Johnson to talk about the snow that we're seeing fall.
Yep, seeing some snowflakes this morning. This is kind of the last leg of this storm system. Really low clouds. You can't even make out the mountainside, and part of that's because we've got snow coming down out of the skies. And you can see pretty good snowfall up in the cottonwoods where they've already picked up 1 to 2 feet of snow. Impressive. It's amazing how even a small storm can turn out really great in the cottonwoods. Things are calming down generally, but we can't rule out a couple of snow showers through at least 8, 9 a.m. After that mark, it looks like we're going to be quiet with mostly cloudy skies.
Take a look at your morning drive. We're going to stretch out just a little bit here to Duchesne. You've got a hazmat spill this morning right here at Center Street, downtown Duchesne, blocking off a couple of lanes. Now, what that spill is, no report on that as of yet, but be aware that's an issue for those people. Now, you've got I-15 here for the most part of the morning commute. I believe this is downtown Midvale here, roughly 72nd south here. You've got, this is what we're dealing with, rain out there on the road today. Beware, roads are slick. Lori?
On the streets. If you're already missing the Olympics, don't worry. The 2034 Utah Games will be here before you know it. Right now, Utah organizers are using what they learned in Milan Cortina to make Utah 2034 even better.
Well, it brings back the energy of the games and why we do this, and that's so exciting. But then there are always new ideas that you can look at and say, wow, they did this differently, and we can see how then we could translate that into 2034.
That, of course, Fraser Bullock, the president and executive chairman of the organizing committee for the Utah 2034 Games. He offered a lot of insight into what the organizing committee was really looking for at the Milan Cortina Games and what Olympics fans can look forward to in the days ahead. And you can hear all of that and more coming up on Sunday edition, airing Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. only on KSL. And thanks so much for joining us on this Friday for this segment of KSL News Now. Don't forget to set your clocks ahead on Sunday because, of course, we are springing forward. And we leave you this morning with a look to downtown Salt Lake City. A bit cloudy out there. Have a great day, everyone.